In the heart of a moonless night, as shadows stretched long and eerie, Sarah found herself driving down a desolate, winding road. The trees loomed like specters, their skeletal branches clawing at the inky sky. She had just visited her parents, and now, with her young son asleep in the back seat, she was making her way back home. The radio played faintly in the background, offering some semblance of company. But even its cheerful tunes couldn't dispel the uneasy feeling that had settled in the pit of her stomach. The road seemed to stretch on forever, devoid of any signs of life. The only source of illumination was her headlights, casting a feeble glow on the asphalt ahead. As she drove, the road seemed to become more treacherous, its twists and turns growing sharper. Each bend felt like a leap into the unknown, a plunge into the abyss of the night. Her fingers gripped the steering wheel tightly, her knuckles white with tension. Every rustling leaf, every distant sound, sent shivers down her spine. The silence inside the car was palpable, broken only by the occasional creaking of the seats and the distant howling of the wind. Sarah stole a glance at her rearview mirror, catching a glimpse of her son's peaceful face, bathed in the dim light. The sight provided her some comfort, a reminder of why she was enduring this unsettling journey. As she continued to navigate the labyrinthine road, her headlights suddenly flickered, casting eerie shadows that danced across the trees. Her heart skipped a beat as darkness enveloped her for a split second. Panic surged through her veins, and she tapped the brakes, slowing down to a crawl. She fumbled for her phone, her fingers trembling as she dialed her husband's number. With each passing second, the call rang, but there was no answer. Her desperation grew, and she dialed again, this time with a hint of urgency in her voice. Still, there was only silence on the other end. She pressed harder on the gas pedal, her determination to reach safety overpowering her fear. The road seemed to stretch even longer, a never-ending nightmare. Suddenly, a figure appeared in the distance, standing in the middle of the road. Panic seized her once more, and she slammed on the brakes, the screeching tires echoing through the night. Her heart raced as she stared ahead, her eyes widening in horror. The figure was a woman, her clothes tattered, her face obscured by matted hair. Sarah's breath caught in her throat as the woman slowly turned towards her, her eyes gleaming with an otherworldly intensity. The woman's gaze seemed to pierce through the darkness, locking onto Sarah's very soul. Paralyzed with fear, Sarah could do nothing but watch as the woman's spectral form began to drift closer. Frantic thoughts raced through Sarah's mind. Was this a hallucination, a trick of her exhausted mind? Or had she stumbled upon something beyond human understanding? The woman's ethereal presence seemed to defy all reason, as if she were a spirit from another realm. Gathering every ounce of courage, Sarah forced herself to look away from the haunting figure and focused on the road ahead. With trembling hands, she shifted the car into reverse and began to retreat, her heart pounding in her chest. The woman's unearthly wails seemed to echo in her ears, a mournful lament that sent shivers down her spine. Miles seemed to blur together as Sarah navigated the road in reverse, her gaze fixed on the rearview mirror, fearing that the spectral woman might give chase. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, she saw the faint glimmer of streetlights in the distance. The road began to widen, and the oppressive darkness slowly gave way to the reassuring glow of civilization. As Sarah's car reached the well-lit streets, she let out a breath she hadn't realized she was holding. She pulled over to the side of the road, her hands still shaking. Glancing at the back seat, she found her son still sleeping peacefully, completely unaware of the ordeal his mother had just endured. Tears welled up in Sarah's eyes as relief flooded through her. She clung to her son, embracing him tightly, grateful to have escaped the clutches of that forsaken road. She couldn't shake the feeling that the encounter had been more than just a hallucination, that she had brushed against the supernatural that night. And so, with her heart heavy with the weight of the unknown, Sarah drove on, leaving the winding road and its haunting secrets behind. But the memory of that chilling encounter would forever be etched into her mind, a reminder that sometimes, in the darkest corners of the night, the veil between the living and the beyond grows thin, revealing glimpses of the terrifying mysteries that lie beneath.